Joining us now from D.C. is Georgia Congressman Tom Graves. He voted no. He's one of the 22 no votes for Speaker Boehner's bill in the House. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Good morning. Great to be with you today.
Great to have you bright and early. We'd like you to react to something Charles Krauthammer said on Friday. Let me let him speak, and then you can react. Go ahead.
Okay.
They don't have the Senate and they don't have the House. I respect what they want to do. I share what they want to do. Shrink the government. You cannot do it at the point of a gun from half of the Congress. It cannot be done under our system. All of us respect the Constitution. It defines the new conservatism. If you believe in it, if that's what you really want, then respect the Constitution, understand its restraints, accept them, and win the election in November.
With that in mind, Congressman, shouldn't you let this play out in 2012 in the election? Let it be a referendum and not do it with the economy on the edge of a cliff.
Well, you know, I think back to November of last year, and it was clear what the American people said, and that is, look, we've got to cut spending, we've got to stop this deficit, we've got to reduce the debt load. And everybody wants to put it off to the next election cycle. I can see it next year. You know, we get into 2012 and whatever the outcome is, and they say, well, we really need to wait till we get more members of this party or that party. The fact is we have $14 trillion of debt today that we've got to deal with. And the bills we hear about, whether it's Boehner's bill, Reid, McConnell, I know they all have great intentions. But look, let's talk about the American people and what their proposal would be. If you share the facts with them, you say, look, we spend 150% of what we take in every month, and we're asking to borrow $900 billion more from the Chinese, and yet our debt is $14 trillion. It'll be $15+ trillion now after that. But in return, what we were willing to do is to cut spending 1/5 of 1 penny next year.
But what would have made you happy, Congressman? What would have made you happy? Because as you talk about the American people this morning, and they're wondering on Tuesday what's going to happen to their mortgage payments, what's going to happen to interest rates on their credit cards, what's going to happen to Treasury bonds that they've maybe have some investments in. So what would have made you happy in this bill or another bill?
Right, and that's a fair question, and I was a strong supporter of cut, cap, and balance, which showed that we were willing to do the right things now, and that is cut the spending today, and let's go ahead and reduce the deficit, and then we're going to cap the size of the federal government and begin shrinking it over the next 10 years, and then pass a balanced budget amendment to the states. Because look, I can tell you, Washington is not going to live within its means. It's been free-spirited for far too long. I wish the discipline did exist in Washington. But look, over the past couple of months, we've had amendment after amendment to cut spending on the floor of the House, and only a handful have passed. So there is no willingness or desire to cut spending.
But, Congressman, as Charles Krauthammer said, you cannot govern from the House alone. So isn't it up to you to explain to the American people that you've won this debate by changing the debate? The debate now is how much should we cut from spending? Isn't it up to you to explain to your constituents the gravity of the situation, that we have to raise the debt ceiling, we have to keep this economy running?
Yeah, you know, and that leads to the compromise. We hear compromise, compromise, compromise. Compromise is what's gotten us in the mess we're in. The conversation I'm worried about having is about 8 to 10 years from now, when my 8-year-old daughter looks to me and says, Dad, what did you do? Why do I owe so much money? Why is our country in the mess that it's in? What did you do on your watch? That's the question that I'm preparing to answer, and I'm preparing it today.
What do you think?
And I think we owe it to all the children and grandchildren.
Then ultimately, what do you think is going to happen on Tuesday?
I don't really know what's going to happen on Tuesday. What I hope does happen is that we really look at solving the problem. And as I've said before, the solutions that have been presented by the Speaker and Mr. Reid, they just don't amount to the problem that we have. They don't solve the major problem. And look, I'm a math guy. I love mathematics. You put a multiple choice a test out there, you got a lot of solutions, but only one of them is the right answer, and that's why I go back to cut, cap, and balance. The American people were behind it. It is common sense solutions.
Which is tabled and on ice this morning.
Then on arrival when it got to the Senate.
We'll get you out of here on this.
As is the Boehner's bill and everybody else, but it's in play, and we shouldn't step back from that. We should be resolute and stand firm for the right solution and not yield.
No, Congressman Graves, we appreciate you joining us this morning bright and early, and we know you have a busy weekend ahead of you. Thanks so much.
Yes.